Salute, salute, salute. Thank you guys for tuning in. Usually I play music in the beginning, but I'm going to get straight into this interview today. Man, we have a special guest. And I want you guys to treat the guest with respect. Man, this guest that's coming in right now, this is my partner them. Man, I've been knowing him for about 8 years now. All right. Before we get into that, man, you guys like the new logo? Black background. I had to change the gang to orange. All right. So I'm gonna have another special announcement coming up this week. Okay. I'm gonna have another special announcement coming up this week, and you guys want to tune in for that. Also, salute to J Bones, my partner them. All right. Salute to J Bones. Man, we got a great interview coming up right now. All right. Um, also look out for the interview coming up this Saturday. I changed it to Saturday. We're going to be interviewing Sir England about his time in Australia. So, you guys don't want to miss that. The next week, I'm going to do another live stream talking about, fragrances. All right. We're going to get real deep into that. Tell you guys um, some of the fragrances that I received the most compliments on. Um, what to wear, when to wear, how much to spray, the difference between EDP and EDT. We're going to get deep. All right. We're definitely going to get deep. Okay. So let me set my screen up on the side over here before we get started. Hope everybody's having a good day out there. All right. Let me make sure. Go to my channel. Make sure I have things monitored on two different screen here. All right, cool. So without further ado, man, we're gonna get real deep today, talking about the culture. All right, we're gonna touch on the culture, the food, Black people in Spain, just an array of different topics on Spain through this brother right here. All right, so let's bring him on. Without further ado, salute to Dan. Dan, what's going on? How you been?
Hey Splash, how's it going? Glad to be here.
Man, hey, glad that you're here, man. Man, we're really gonna get deep into Spain, man. And I've been looking at some of these pictures, and it's, it's breathtaking.
Yep. The Mediterranean stuff is definitely a beauty that no one can ignore.
Oh man. So tell the people who you are, where you're from, and what brought you to Spain.
Yep. So I'm Dan. I am originally from New York. I currently reside in Massachusetts. I went to Spain and I lived there for about 2 years, and lived in Valencia or Valencia, if you're familiar with the accent.
Mhm.
And I lived there. Yeah, I lived there for 2 years. It was a year and a half, and then a half a year. So it was a little bit of a gap in between. I went originally on study because I went to a school called Berkeley College of Music, and they had a study abroad program that all the students can kind of go to if they were in good standing. So I went, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And you know what? I advise a lot of people to do that. Like, if you're ever thinking about moving to another country, um, do the exchange program. If
Yeah,
you're going to university in America, do the exchange program. Or if you're in Canada, I know a lot of people who did an exchange program to a country that they were interested in, and when they got there, it was like nah, when I finish, I'm going to move back over here. So I mean that's a good way to get introduced
yeah.
to another country. Not only are um, you immerse yourself in the culture in that country, you meet other, foreigners as well.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah, definitely. And also too, for people who are interested in doing study abroads and sister programs or whatever have you, definitely consider not being in the dormitories. I know a lot of people like the dormitories because there's a lot of foreigners who are in the same boat as them, some of them from other countries. So everyone's kind of just like in this new thing, but it pays a lot to actually get accustomed to the local culture. It really does. But if someone's not trying to branch out, then yeah, the dorms will be your best bet. But for people who really like the culture and everything, I would say get an apartment if you can.
Yeah, yeah. I would never do the dorms. Like it's just, it's like it sounds fun because he's like, okay, I could party or whatever, but man, you're living with strangers and you don't know who your roommate is gonna be. You don't know
Yeah.
what they're gonna do, and like that one story years ago where uh that one guy he had a roommate that was like poisoning him.
Oh
You,
God.
you remember that? Like he had some roommate in the dorms at his university was poisoning him. He was sticking his toothbrush up his ass,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
like it was like so you never know who's gonna no, and then no privacy, nah. And then you got to share a bathroom, and then you
Yeah.
got to take turns cleaning and take turns cleaning the kitchen. No, no, I hate living with people. So yeah, don't
Yeah,
do the
it's
whole dorm thing.
Yeah, it's definitely much better to because the dorm I stayed in, anyone can look this up. It's called Galileo Galilei, which is
Oh,
right in
Galileo
Valencia.
Galilei, the inventor of the
Yep,
telescope.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, that dorm had everyone who was going to the University Polytechnica, which everyone, most people who are foreign were going to that college. Not mine. I was in the minority. So, you meet a lot of people from Turkey, from France, Germany, England, but you don't get a taste of Spain if you're just dealing with people from all those countries.
yeah,
so,
yeah.
so yeah, I would definitely recommend people to get an apartment if possible.
Man, this man said that Galileo Galilei, the great white astronomer. They they almost They almost took him out. He was saying,
Yeah,
what did he say? He said, hey, the sun doesn't revolve around the earth. The earth revolves around the sun. Oh, they almost burned him at the stake
how
saying
dare
that.
he?
But hey, man, Valencia. I'm looking at some of these pictures on Valencia. Oh, it's just beautiful, beautiful beach.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get into that in a second. So, you know, man, this place to live in a place like that, a lovely place like this, it seemed like it would be a bit expensive, right? Or no? What's the cost of living over in Valencia?
Valencia is actually one of the cheaper sides of Spain.
Hmm,
Unlike Barcelona, it gets a little more expensive. Madrid, it's really expensive. Really expensive, meaning like slightly cheaper than New York City. When I say for Madrid, but for Barcelona, it's somewhere in between that, I guess. And Valencia was pretty cheap. Valencia, like the easiest way, I guess, for people to kind of check. It may sound kind of tacky, but check the cigarette prices. It really there's a lot of stuff that goes into economics, but without getting into all that, if you check the price of cigarettes, compare it to back home, and that's kind of what your living cost would be, replicate, just scaled up or down depending on if it's up or down. So yeah, like for a week's worth of groceries wouldn't cost me any more than like 30 to 40 euros, which is about $30 to $40, or it was at the time. Um, but it was fairly cheap. Transportation is pretty easy to come by. Fair amount of buses. The train system's not all that great. But you can take the trains to like other parts of the cities. Like I visited the girl that I was dating at the time. I took a train, I believe it's called Renfe, and I would take that train to Torrent, which is where she lived, which was a town
mhm.
outside of Valencia, even though they still call themselves Valencia. I don't know how that works, but that's just what they do. So and the cost of that was probably like round trip. From what I can remember, it was maybe like 5-7 euros, something like that. But it's a very inexpensive city in Spain. So if people want to taste of Spain without paying the price of like Santander or Madrid or something like that, Valencia is definitely where it's at, and the food is just overall better.
Man, you know what? Something that I appreciate about you is like, you're real open minded because I can hear when you um when you give some of the names of like the train system or different locations, you speak it like a natural born speaker from Spain. You're
Oh
speaking in the tone, like the proper tone, the proper phonetics and everything. I appreciate that because especially a lot of brothers, man. Some of us are just ignorant to pronunciation.
yeah,
It's like you
yeah.
can't. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it's yeah, that is a big problem. The group I went to, there was probably only a handful of black people, and I would say there would be, I think there was only 2 out of the 10, excluding myself, 2 out of the 10 who actually decide to learn the Spanish language to a decent extent. It's some people, they want to adapt to the culture, but they don't want to take the steps to adapt to the culture, and the language is like it doesn't that's like the biggest step. Like it takes a long time, but the enunciation in Spain, or at least in Valencia or Valencia, is that they have a lisp. So like all the c's sound like th's.
Mm,
And I did learn the language to a fair extent, but I learned a little bit of Catalan too, because the girl I was dating at the time, her family always spoke Catalan to each other. Even though they spoke Spanish and Catalan, they always spoke Catalan to each other. So I actually learned a little bit more of that. And plus I also liked it a little bit more than Spanish. I'm not too crazy about Spanish, really, to be honest with you. But you gotta do what you gotta do when you're over there. And but if someone's over there and they only speak English, could you get away with it? More or less, maybe, to an extent. Like I'd say about 30% of the people you come across will understand a decent amount of English. In fact, it was a bit of a problem even with my girlfriend's family, because her family was very international. They went to school in England, I believe, and in America, and her uncle was from Boston. Um,
wow.
so they all spoke English, and that was a problem for me, because I said, okay, well, if I'm going to learn this language, yeah, I can't speak English with people who speak Spanish. It would just be a waste.
Right. 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 Man, it's deep. And so, like, the cost of living, all right. How
Mhm.
much were you paying for rent, or what was the average uh monthly rent fee, and utilities
Yeah.
over there in Spain, in Valencia?
Yeah, so rent, from what I remember, rent is it's fairly cheap. It's not cheap, not like Thailand cheap, but it is a little cheap. I was paying for the first place I had 2 apartments. The first apartment I was in, it was a 5 bedroom, and that's that's literally why I moved. Also
Wow.
because I was right near the football stadium, or soccer stadium, or however you want to call it. And that soccer stadium was literally right next door. So the rent I had was more, it was more in accordance with the fact that I live near a soccer stadium, which most people don't want to do because, well, people get drunk and act crazy. But I was
Yeah.
paying for that place. I was paying about 550, I believe. Yeah, it was 550 of rent without utilities. I paid utilities separately. But then I moved into another apartment that was closer to school, and for that I was paying 400 euros a month, which is very very cheap. 400 euros, about $450 at the time. So yeah, it was kind of around that. Utilities are a little expensive over there. Energy, we have the luxury in America to have cheap utilities, but in Spain I was paying about the same amount for utilities as I was over here in America, which, if you live in Spain on a Spanish salary, that's gonna come to bite you. Whereas in America, when it comes to our natural gas and electricity and everything, it's a lot cheaper. So that is the only thing I will say that is a little more expensive, but it's not more expensive than what you're getting in America.
Oh, okay. So the first apartment, that was a 5 bedroom apartment, you said, right?
Yes.
Like, do they go by square meters or square feet over there?
They go by meters.
So how many square meters was that 5 bedroom apartment?
Oof. Honestly, I don't remember, but if I had to just, be subjective about it, it was relatively small. A very small kitchen. I would not recommend for anyone to go into a 5 bedroom apartment really in Spain. It's usually, unless you're like really close with the people and the kitchen space is good, then fine. But we had 2 bathrooms, but the kitchen space was terrible, and the kitchen in general was terrible. My bedroom was very small, so it was really a disaster. So yeah, that's what. But as far as the exact numbers, I really don't remember. I'd have to dig.
Yeah, that sounds like that sounds like, some of the apartments in Asia, especially in Thailand. It's like,
Hmm.
it's just better to get a studio apartment, a big studio apartment, than a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom, because really they just take this studio and they'll add quote unquote bedroom, and it just makes the place look much smaller.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you were better off just getting a studio apartment. So
Yep. Yeah. I would say it's probably the same in Spain too. You're a lot better off getting a studio apartment there. And plus, like a lot of times, the studio stuff is usually more renovated because they also know what it's attracting. And most Spaniards who live there, if they have a family, they usually don't get a studio. So the studios are usually a little bit more tailored towards tourists.
oh, okay. So like, with the cost of living with rent, cell phone plan, transportation, food, utilities, and just extracurricular activities. How much were you spending in bills a month?
If I had to tally it all together, probably no more than $800. Probably something around that. If you, yeah, probably something like that. Now I was living fairly cheaply. I didn't really need much. I lived right by the school, so I didn't have to get what's it called, a pass for the metro or anything like that. I didn't have to do that. If I had to do that, it'd probably go up probably like maybe about a hundred bucks. But yeah, I'd say yeah around like $700-800, maybe 900, depending on how much eating out people decide to do. So I would say around there.
Sounds like, you know, sounds like, it's a great place for a lot of digital nomads out there.
Yeah, it definitely is. Because it's in Valencia, you also have like it's the whole city is split. You have the old part and you have the new part. The new part, personally, I like the old part more because you actually get to experience more of the traditional culture a little bit, or at least the aesthetics of it. Maybe not so much in the people, but you get a little bit of that. Like in Rusafa, which is another area that's more like that's a little bit people refer to it as the old town. It's called Rusafa, and that
Oh,
area you could basically you can get authentic paella, you can get authentic uh, sangria, you can get the architecture looks a lot more European, but the new part it's just it's kind of bland, and it's just a lot of the universities. So to live in the old part, if someone's like a little bit of a digital nomad, the old part is really nice. And if you have something going on that's as far as like income that is not necessarily like pegged to Spain, like if you have like if you're like a digital marketer or something like that, it's really easy to make a living in Spain. And if you get citizenship, you get healthcare.
wow. I'm looking at these pictures of
Mhm.
Rusafa. I hope I pronounced that right. But I'm looking at the pictures. Like I could definitely see myself living here. I mean, you know,
Mhm.
the energy just from these pictures.
Yeah, it's really nice. They have a lot of festivals there. One of the biggest festival over there that is Las Fallas. I personally can't stand this festival, but it does happen every year, and the only reason why I don't like it is because I don't even remember the history of it because I was just so annoyed with it. They just light fireworks all the time for like a whole 2 months. So
Oh,
yeah, it drove me out the wall. There was one time where they had this like it literally sounded like a cannon, and they just like would like blow it in like eight in the morning or something. And I was like, I was so angry that I was just like, man, I was about to walk out there and just shut that shit down. It was just ridiculous. So, but but yeah, but Rusafa, yeah, it's a really nice place. Everyone likes to go there. There's a lot of shopping, a lot of museums. If you want to like own a like transportation, I had a Vespa, which was just basically like a little junior motorcycle, if you will. That place is I mean, that mode of transportation is really easy to come by, and they give you a discount because all the Vespa services they don't really care. They just want everyone to very much just they just want your money. So I had a monthly fee of 150 for the Vespa. Not bad at all for what you're getting because you could go pretty much anywhere. I could get my shopping done with it. Like the only downside is obviously it's not a car. But it's a good alternative.
okay, that's what's up. Salute to Corey J. Man, Corey J said he was 10 to 15 minutes late. Hey, man, it's better late than never, right? You always got the playback. You didn't really miss. Well, I mean, yeah, you did miss a little bit, so it's cool. After this, just listen to the playback. All right, man.
Mhm.
It's some good game here. I'm feeling Rusafa. Like I'm seriously thinking about moving over there right now. Only $800 a month, and that's that's not bad. I could do that. I could do that like a little flip. I could do that. Anyways, man, so cost of living is great. So let's move on to the language. Me being from the South, me being from Texas,
Mhm.
you know, I came from a mother who her first language was Spanish, right? She's from South America.
Oh
But
yeah,
the thing
sorry.
about it is like the Spanish from South America and in Texas is totally different than the Spanish in Spain, correct?
Yep. Yeah, very different. Yeah, they use more feminine words in the Latin American Spanish kind of thing. So like I think even for car they use carro, but
Mhm.
in Spain they use coche. I might be getting it backwards, but one of them uses one and the other uses the other. You get the point. And yeah, so that took me for a flip a little bit too because I'm used to like mostly Mexican and Puerto Rican Spanish because that's what that was kind of the most local Spanish where I grew up in New York. Um, but the Spanish over there, it's a lot more from the gut, like the way they speak. Also, it's a lot more like a little more abrasive. I personally prefer it because I don't like languages that are just too soft, and Latin Spanish is just too soft for me.
Right, I see. I see.
Hmm.
Did you see any other like South Americans there, and how were they being treated?
Yeah, there was a fair amount of South Americans there. It's really tricky with how they're treated because some of them bring it upon themselves. I'm not even gonna lie, but then the others, it's kind of like how someone like how can I say like the Spaniards might they might talk shit about someone who is from El Salvador or Mexico or something like that, but then when they're in front of them, they act like there's no problem. um, so it's kind of it's a little two faced a little bit. But I think the rivalry is that they view the Latin Americans as inauthentic Spanish. They view them as kind of like you guys are different. You have some similarities because of history and all that, but at the end of the day, you're not a Spaniard. You don't look like a Spaniard. You don't talk like a Spaniard because the Hispanics who go over there, they still speak they still speak the way like they used to back in Ecuador or wherever they're from. They don't adapt to the what's the word the accent. They don't use the different words in Spanish because Spanish is a very expressive language. Probably I don't think there is a more expressive language than that. And so they really no they really are like tied to the way to their dialect. So, it's kind of like that. They don't fit in, but they kind of fit in. But, I would say that's how they kind of are looked at.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Mhm.
So they would talk about them, but when they came around, would you say that they're non-confrontational or
The Spaniards or
the Spaniards?
oh, hmm. That's also I'd probably say is a little bit of a mix. I'd probably say 50-50 because the Spaniards are passionate people. So when things go wrong, they might overreact a little bit. Um, I've learned to not take that to heart because that's just how they are. I got there's nothing I can do to change that. So that's just how I kind of handled that. But it I would say in general they're non-confrontational to an extent. I wouldn't say as far as like maybe like the Japanese, for example, they're very non-confrontational. But when push comes to shove, the Spaniards will retaliate. They definitely have their limits, but they're not going out for a fight all the time.
Okay, that's good to know,
Yeah.
because that ties into safety. Did you see um, the level of violence out there? How much violence did you really see? Did you witness when you were out there?
Not much. To be honest with you, it's actually a relatively safe place. I could, if you're for guys, it's different, but I'll take a more extreme example. For like, if a woman was walking around in Rusafa or anywhere in the city, um, most places, I'd probably say 90% of the places, no matter what time of day, she'll be fine to an extent. The feminists would disagree with this, but it's just the numbers are there, but they're not trying to hear that. But that's just the way it is. Now, if they go to an area where like the Romanians live or the Gypsies live, that might be a little bit different story. They might try and rob you. But as far as violence, I don't say they seek out violence really so much. I would say that's actually not so much of the Spaniards. Some of the immigrants do it, but in terms of Spaniards, it's Spaniards themselves. They're not really too quick to pull the trigger, if you will, even though they don't really have guns.
Okay, that's good to know. So, brothers, when you go out there, I would say, Spain. It sounds like a better alternative. A lot of brothers are going down south to South America. They're going to other countries, and they're coming back with war stories. You'd have thought that they strapped up, they got enlisted or something. When they come out, I'm like, damn, I thought you went on vacation. I didn't know you did a tour, in Iraq or somewhere. So, you know, hey,
Yeah.
if you're tuning in right now, please hit the like button. That's all I ask. That is all I ask. Please hit that like button. And I'm giving you guys a real treat right here. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys have been asking me for interviews, and you know, this is it right here. So hit that like button so we can get more people on.
Definitely.
So let's get into the culture. Okay. What's the difference between the culture in Valencia and the rest of the cities in Spain? How are the other cities different in Spain compared to Valencia?
Yeah, it's yeah. So like, I want to go. I'll use a few examples because I'm not trying to go through every city, but um, the culture is kind of like really based a little bit on the economics of everything and a little bit of the politics a little bit. So like I haven't looked into the Catalonia problem, but uh the culture is going to be influenced a lot by the economy, and the economy in, like, let's say Barcelona is like 80% of it is coming from tourism, whereas Valencia, it's coming from not tourism. It's coming from more of just domestic citizens. So if you go to like Barcelona, you probably never like if you go to Barcelona, you'll probably never learn Spanish because everyone there speaks English for the most part, or Catalan, or French, or German. And they also Barcelona gets a lot of tourists from the UK, because the people from the
Right.
UK, the weather in the UK is just god awful. So whenever they decide to take a vacation, they almost always go to Spain, whether it be Ibiza, whether it be Barcelona. It's usually or Madrid. It's usually one of those cities. So, but in Valencia, you don't get so much of the touristy stuff. So you hear less English. You don't come across too many of the international brands. You don't find too many McDonald's in Valencia, but you find a lot of that in Barcelona. Another influence is also a little bit of religion, where when you go to Spain has a lot of, it's a little mixed because you have a little bit of you have like the Catholicism. So you have these giant cathedrals in certain cities. I used to have a picture of a I forgot the name of the church that I visited with Maria, but it was a huge cathedral, one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. But you don't find any of that in Valencia. That it's just not there. You do have churches, but you're not going to have, like, the giant cathedrals the size of football stadiums. Um,
Mm.
so there's a little bit of a difference there because just because of the influence. Then you have, like, you have the Islamic thing going on in Barcelona. And there's a whole lot of politics around that, as you can imagine. But that also a little bit that also plays a little bit of the role in the food. Like a lot of and you even have the Latin American influence in Valencia as well. Like most of the pork they get from Argentina. Um, the pork that's not like jamon, which is a more traditional Spanish like ham. That cut is particularly from Spain, but there's a lot of places that will import pork from Argentina. So taste of food will be a little different. A lot of people go to Valencia because to a lot of people do this from other cities. They'll take the water because the water, just the mineral, what's the word? The mineral index, I guess, if you will, the composition. Yeah, the mineral composition of the water makes for the best paella. So people will
Mm,
come there from Madrid or from Barcelona or from anywhere just to take the water, just so they can make more authentic paella.
mm.
So those are
How do
just
you
a few
spell paella?
differences. Paella is Paella.
I was spelling it all wrong. Oh wow, this looks good.
Oh man, it's one of the best dishes out there. It's a popular dish. Everyone knows about paella who goes to Spain,
Oh, they
but
they put
it's
they put mussels in there.
you could get different types. You can get chicken, you can get pork, you can get rabbit, you can get seafood. Yeah, you can get whatever you want, vegetarian.
Oh, this one has lobster in it. Man, it almost reminds me of like jambalaya back in
Yeah.
Louisiana, just a little bit. Oh
Yeah.
man, it's good.
Yeah, I
Wow,
could
this
definitely see the comparison between that and jambalaya, yeah.
wow. Oh, and that we'll get into that in a second, talking about the food. So, it sounds like Barcelona just, heavy on the tourism. Compare that to I guess a place like Thailand, you know, Barcelona is kind of like Bangkok, whereas Valencia is kind of like Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai is
Mm,
way up north. There's more, you soak in more of the culture.
yeah.
You get to know more about the local culture in uh Chiang Mai than in Bangkok. Whereas like, Bangkok is just so polluted and congested with tourism and tourists. In
Mm.
Bangkok is like, I saw a live funeral in Chiang Mai. People just
Oh
they had
wow.
a float, and they everybody was holding on to this rope that was connected to the float, and they were singing their traditional song that they sing when somebody passes away, going down the street. Everybody's wearing all black. I saw a few of those in Chiang Mai, but you never see those in Bangkok because, I mean, where can you do that?
Mm,
It's just too many
yeah.
people there. Like you can't do that on the roads out there. So
Mm,
I definitely understand what you mean by the difference between a place like, Barcelona and Valencia as far as the
yeah.
culture.
Yeah, I'd say
And
that's an
it
accurate
seemed like,
comparison.
Valencia, like the people are probably friendlier, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and yeah, part of that is because yeah, less congestion. It's just people are just more stressed in Barcelona. It's just like everything is about money over there. And then, the touristy thing, they have a problem with British tourists because like I mentioned before, they go on holiday to Barcelona and but they don't act right. There was like one instance where like a guy threw a couch out the window and landed on someone's car. It's just
Oh
and this
wow.
happened just from like the few days I was there. I was like, seriously? Like my friend who I met on the trip to Valencia, he's American. He moved to Barcelona, and he actually moved out in part because of this problem because people were coming there and just trashing what was like decently functioning. So that type of stuff unfortunately happens. I was also there not too much longer after that. There was a big like terrorist attack that happened in Barcelona, which is another consequence of being too economically based on tourism for your economy. That's just kind of how it happens. If you open up more immigration, just simple game theory is going to tell you you're going to have a higher chance of having a terrorist attack from an outside source. So that type of stuff can happen a little bit in Barcelona. I only recommend Barcelona to visit. To live, I would say you'd have to have a lot of money. And I understand people like it. It looks nicer. It looks nicer than Valencia, but Valencia is just way easier to make to like have a living and have just a more comfortable life.
Yeah, out here when they promote their flat screen TVs and stuff like that like at the electronics stores out here, they always show images of Barcelona,
Yeah,
on the OLED screen TVs because it looks so nice.
yeah.
So They
Yeah,
always that's all they show is Barcelona. So I
yeah.
know exactly what you mean. Um, so, um, let's talk about the racism, because over the years
Mhm,
I've heard people talk about, they mentioned racism in Spain, how they were racist towards black people in Spain. Did
mhm.
you experience any racism when you were in Spain?
Overall, not really. But I will mention certain things that can attribute to that, and something I went through that was kind of minor, but it also was kind of just like a kind of an annoyance. So the thing that I went through one time, it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was also just like I started to do some some reasoning, and I said, is it because I'm black? So yeah, there was one time when I was in I was somewhere in the city in the neighborhood that I was in, but this is when I just got there, so I was still relatively new to the area, and I just needed to ask for from some directions. My Spanish at the time was horrible, but I figured I'd ask around. Some people speak English, and there's a few people I asked who just didn't reply to me. Like even when I approached them in Spanish, they wouldn't even reply to me. And I was like, what's going on here? I know I'm saying this right. I'm pretty confident in that. So what's going on here? And it probably had to do something like that, something to do with me being black. Another instance was when I was walking with the girl I was dating at the time, and we were walking through the park. And since I was new here, I didn't really know too much of what they say in Spanish that's racist or whatever, empathist or whatever. And there was one time, yeah, we were walking through the park, and I didn't know these guys said this about me, but they said I don't. And my ex, she still hasn't told me to this day what they said, but she did tell because she just felt horrible about it. But she did tell me, yeah, they were being racist. Um, I didn't know. I had no idea because it was in passing. They were riding bikes, and I was just walking with the girl I was dating, and so that kind of happened. And I was like, okay, I didn't even know, So now that's like just a verbal thing, but and hopefully I'm glad it didn't turn into anything extreme. But yeah, that would be two examples of when I experienced. Another example would be now this wasn't necessarily racism, but it was just basically like I guess you could say just disregarding the fact that it is racist. And this was when I was living in that old apartment near the football stadium, and there was this guy who was who was actually no, this was directly racism. There was this guy who lived on the like two or three floors above me, and he straight up said, "Where is the nigger?" And I'm like, huh, I wonder who he's referring to. So that kind of happened. Hence, also another reason why I decided to move out of that apartment. But yeah, that did happen. Now the I'll say this, like, are they gonna like if you show up, are they just gonna like hunt you down? No, they're like that's not gonna happen really. That's just kind of more the extreme end. That's a little rare, but you will have stuff like that just kind of like makes you scratch your head. Another thing they have too that's going on is the African immigrants over there. Like I have nothing against Africans, but the guys who are over there, half of them do really well, and the other half just ruin it for everyone. And we're all slaves to our reputation. And if you're black and you're going over to Spain, just know when you see black men from Africa in the streets trying to help you park your car, that's an illegal valet business that they set up, and they will beat your car down if you don't tip them. That's like a real
Wow.
thing. And I straight up asked about this. Like I asked the girl I was dating at the time and her friend. I said, What's going on? Like you guys don't like what is this?" And they just acted like it wasn't the thing. And I was just like, "Oh, what is going on?" So there's two sides to it, but that's the other side that I saw because we had to park. We were going to a festival, and they told us where to park, and they just the person who was driving just said it was my girlfriend's friend who was driving. She straight up said, "Okay, we'll just park here," and tip them and everything. And I'm just like, why would you tip them? Like this spot was here. Like you don't have to tip them, but they said if they don't, they'll beat your car up. And then when we came back, we saw someone's punch buggy that had the windows bashed completely out. And I I was just like,
Wow.
Yeah, it can get kind of real in certain areas like that.
Wow, that's man. So brothers, when
Yeah,
you go out there, be careful. Be careful. That's
yeah,
some good information because a lot of us when we see somebody that looks like us, even though they're necessarily not from the same soil that we're from, we
yeah,
want to help. So, we like, hey, yeah, if this is your business, here you go. You know,
yeah,
put my car over there, and you come back, and all the windows are blown out of of your vehicle because it's like you guys got to be careful. So, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah,
man,
but
man,
on a little bit of a lighter note, if I may. But as for the good side, though, there are black people over there who are doing very well. There was this brother I talked to who was he owned a coffee shop that was like across the street from me. It was a little bit more down the street. And I don't really do coffee shops too much, but I realized it. And he was married to some Spanish woman, or whatever. And but he was from Tanzania, and yeah, he literally opened up a coffee shop there, and it was going on for quite a few years. um so that part is true too. I just want to put that out there because
mm, wow.
yeah,
Man, so we touched on let's touch on the food just a little bit before we move forward.
yeah.
So we have paella, Paella. That looks good. What are some other dishes, some other Spaniard dishes in Valencia that you had that were to die for?
Oh, okay. To die for. To be honest, let's see. There's the Spanish, they don't super spice their stuff up. They don't really like have like super heavy meals like that. They just make stuff really really tasty. Like however they cook it. Aioli is a very common thing there, which is like a white garlicky kind of dipping sauce that people put on pretty much anything. And it works with anything too. It looks like mayonnaise, but it's not mayonnaise. Um and then you have what else do you have? You have
How do you spell it? How do you spell it?
for I think it's AE. Let me actually here, let's see. AEIOLLI. I think it's Ioli like that. Let me see. Aioli.
AOAIOLI. It's
Yeah,
from
there
is
it
what
is.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just a topping or whatever, but it's put in quite a lot of stuff. You have morro, which I don't really eat, but people have swore to God that this thing is really delicious. I couldn't really bring myself to eat it, but morro is basically the face of a pork. Um I can't bring myself to eat that, but people who've eaten it, they speak very, very highly of it. Patatas bravas is a very common thing, which is just potatoes, um, which is just potatoes with some type of sauce on it. People eat a lot of potatoes in Spain, but the potatoes are really good. If people are into that. Um, any of the seafood is pretty much going to blow you out in Valencia because it has such less travel time. So, and the water there is just a lot better. So any fish is going to be delicious. Um, they also have, if people are vegetarians or vegans, you can have those stuff. You can have that stuff there, but I would say it's going to be a little difficult, because they put pork in practically everything. They put eggs in practically everything. All the eggs there, the quality of food too, is really really good. Like when you crack open an egg, it's a deep orange. It's not yellow. Um,
Yeah,
like
that
the
means that they were
quality
healthy.
of yeah, yeah, the quality of ham or hamon, as they call it, it's just you can't beat it. Like it's really really good. So people would eat just like straight up. Oh, nice. Someone's from Boston. So you people would eat straight up, just straight up ham with like a little sauce, but it would be really good. Like, and that would be all you need because the quality was just that good. But as far as like spicy stuff, if you're looking for that, you have to dig a little bit. But they have it.
Man, man, man. I'm looking at some of these meals. They look really good. Salute to Sam Combo. Yeah, like you said, A Massachusetts. Salute Dan. I'm in
Uh,
Boston. There you go.
uh,
Um,
a
what else did he say? Rent free gang. Salute J Bones. I know you from IP's channel. Yeah, salute to IP. Salute to Kevin Miller, Corey J. Who else we got in here? Oh, there's a troll in here. Here's another thing. Guys, yes, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the content, hit the support the channel, support through PayPal and Patreon. Guys, some of you guys are asking me about merch. Merch is on the way, but I can't do it without y'all. We got some merch along the way. So all
nice.
the logos and everything. I just paid for another graphic designer to make another logo for me. So all the logos and the merch that's along the way, none of this is free, none of this is cheap. So, I'm asking you guys to support the platform because it's not only for, it's not just for me, it's for you guys, it's for everybody. Let's build the brand up. Rent free gang, rent free. You know, um, I have uh different ideas, as far as the merch, So, please hit that PayPal, hit that Patreon page and watch the content. So soon enough, I'll be eligible to open up the super chat link for you guys. So the only way we can take donations now is through PayPal and Patreon. So please support the platform. All right, so man, let's move on to let's move on to the ladies. Okay, let's move on to the ladies. All the ladies out there, are there ladies out there that are checking for black men in Valencia, Spain?
Yeah. Um, it's not as it's not crazy overhyped, but yeah, they are. They're very even their families are pretty open to someone dating someone who's black. I will say you do have an advantage if you're of a lighter complexion. I will say you will have an advantage a little bit. But darker complexions they seem to be scoring as well, especially if they're from a Western country a little bit. If they're from Africa, it's not going to be as easy. If they're from uh, anywhere in the islands, they'll have it a little easier than the Africans, but not as much as like if you were black from the United States or from Canada or from Europe, or if you're from the UK, for example. There's a quite a black woman from the UK and Spain. Not a lot, but of all the black women you find there, a fair amount of them will be from the UK. Is what I meant to say. So yeah, they are definitely open to that. Even their families, because most people I think are more concerned about their families. Really, it's like, okay, but I don't want her dad or something like that to not like me because I'm black or whatever. That's not really so common so much right now for multiple reasons, but that I've never really had an issue with that so much.
That's good to know. That's
Yeah.
good to know because out here in Asia, a lot of brothers are running into that. So it's
Mm,
good to know, guys. When you go to Spain, you meet a woman. There's a good chance that their family are warming. They're warm and welcoming. For brothers to date their daughters. As long as you do right by them, right? So
yeah.
let's talk about the shape of the women. You know, um,
Oh,
what
okay.
what 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 are are the women? Do they have that Coke bottle booty, or do they have that sofa, that Rent a Center sofa body? What type of bodies do they have out there?
Yeah, most of them are pretty slim. Not too much curves because I think people like oftentimes when they think of Spain, they often when it comes to the girls, they oftentimes think of like Hispanics, and it's like that's not it. Most of the women there will not have like a big booty. Some of them will. I've definitely come across a few who have, but most of the time they are like a little bit of health nuts, like man, I'd say like 8 out of 10 women are in really good shape. Like it's like they don't play around when it comes to that. Like it's ridiculous.
Ooh,
Um,
Oh,
Yeah, like
man.
if you guys are into a more slim, slender kind of physique, very pretty, very attractive, like you're gonna fall in love with a woman in Spain. That's just how it is. I'm not even trying to I'm not even trying to be that guy, but that's literally how it is. Like everyone unanimously was pretty much saying the women here are just gorgeous. Like like all around. You do have you will come across a few girls who are going to be out of shape, but that comes with any country. Um, that's not the norm. The norm, 80, like I'd say about 80% are in very good shape. The downside, however, a fair amount of these women, not all, but I'd say like maybe like 40% of these women are smokers. That me off a
Wow.
little bit. Yeah. Yeah, there's a fair amount of women there who will smoke cigarettes like no. In Spain, cigarettes are cheap, and I don't smoke anymore. But when I did, it would be impossible for me to stop while I was in Spain because the tobacco quality was very good and it was very cheap. But a lot. So yeah, a lot of these women, they'll smoke like chimneys. Like they'll like. In fact, this one time when my mom came to visit me, she went to this restaurant that was right near the hotel that she stayed at. And when she was eating, like in Europe, it's very common to eat outside. So she was eating outside, and as soon as her waitress finished bringing her meal, she just walked out in front and just like smoked a cigarette right there. Like it can get that bad. Like this the cigarettes there are controlled by the government, so all it's just pretty much is vending machines or like a tobacco shop that's registered with the government. So you could go to a vending machine and just like put in your money and get cigarettes out of it. So people would do that, and yeah, people smoke a lot over there. There in England, I don't know which one's worse.
Wow, yeah, that's a huge turnoff right there. A smoking
Yeah,
woman, you know.
yeah.
Man. But as far as that's good that they're in shape, But that just throws me off that somebody is just a health nut and they smoke. You're in shape, you know, and you want to ruin
Yeah,
it by smoking. I don't like that at all. You know.
yeah.
Now, let's talk about are these women feminine? Their nurturing skills. Do they cook? They clean? Are they feminine?
Mhm. Yeah, it would just depend on where you are. Like in Valencia, um, it's kind of a hit or miss. For the most part, they're more feminine than American chicks at current time. American chicks right now are just very masculine. It's just a disaster. But in Spain, it's more feminine than that. But if someone is looking for like a really feminine woman, they're gonna have to like not be in the cities. Like the cities are just a bastion of that. It's just you just get a lot of the more masculine woman is, it's usually tied to some feminist crap and all that. Um, so that stuff is very that stuff's a little common in Spain, but it's only common really in like cities. It's like once you get outside the cities, it's a whole total different story. I'll give an example of when my girlfriend and we decided to just take a trip to another area in Spain, and it was like I don't even remember the name of this area. It was like no man's land, but the woman there were the most feminine woman I ever came across, and none of them
Mhm.
even knew what feminism was. Uh, you know, that was a very rural area, but just the dichotomy. If you're in a big metropolitan area, expect feminism, no matter where you go on this planet. That's just kind of
Right.
how it is. But once you get to the more suburban areas, it dies down a little bit. You'll still have some people who are, shaving their heads or some stupid crap, but um, you know, that becomes a little less common once you get outside of the metropolitan areas. Um, but yeah, but even like the girl I was dating, I hate to admit it because I'm burning my own reputation here, but she was a little bit of a feminist too. But when she became when she was dating me, she a lot of that shit she put in the back seat. Like she just was like, okay, well, light skin brother gonna eat. So she was, some of that she put aside because she realized that that's not going to keep me. That's going to make me run the other direction.
Right, right. Salute to
Yeah.
Kevin Miller. He said, I still have a hard time with the fact that brothers love boy body Asian women so much. Yeah, these women out here, they don't have bodies. I'm not even with an Asian woman right now. But salute to Asian women. He also said the chicks who worked at McDonald's in Valencia look like models.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
it's there's something in the water, man. I don't know what it is, but yeah, those girls, you will be. It's hard to not like be attracted to them. It's just everything about them. They do have a little bit of that nurturing instinct, a little bit still. Like it's not like it's not like you're dating like a dude. So that is a positive you get out of that.
It must be that paella water. That's what it
Yeah,
is. Have you ever seen that show on Netflix? It's called Money Heist. You seen Money
I
Heist?
haven't seen it. I only seen the title. But I haven't seen it. Is it good?
Oh man, it's really good. It's recorded in Spain. They have like 5 seasons. I've watched
Ooh,
every episode. It's pretty good. Now, the women in there, they were in shape. I mean, to me, like they weren't bad looking. There weren't any dimes in there. You know what I'm saying? But they weren't bad
mhm,
looking. But I was looking at their shapes. Most of the women there,
yeah,
they were in shapes. They were smashable women there. But I
yeah,
was listening to their accents. But it's a really good show. You should check it out. And
okay,
it kind of reminds me. It's like a mix of, man. How do it's like a mix of like, there's some elements from Power, the show
oh,
Power, in that show too. Like some of the
hmm,
scenes that reminded me a lot like Power, but
yeah,
it was real good how everything just ties in, how intelligent the professor was, and how everything was just structured and calculated. It was really good.
hmm,
And there's
okay, I
some
might have to check
characters in
that out.
there. There was some interesting characters in there as well, but it was really good. I felt like, it was getting to see, getting familiar with different faces from Spain. And
Mhm.
one of the main characters in there, this woman, like her Instagram page, is her social media. It just blew up, because I guess everybody was feeling that main chick. I think her name was
Oh,
Tokyo. Her name was Tokyo in the show. So she wasn't bad looking. I mean, to me, I didn't think she was a dime, but if she hollered, if she was choosing up on me, if I go to Valencia and I get like a chick like her that was choosing, I mean, I ain't gonna turn down my collar. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna turn it down. So, but I'm gonna
yeah,
put it to
yeah.
work. I'm just kidding. Everybody, I'm just kidding. But so the women, you
Yeah,
know, like, do they take care of their men? Because
mhm. Yeah, they do.
I don't want a mother figure, but I like a woman. I like a woman who's nurturing, who's caring, who's like, no, let me cook for you. Let me do this for you. Let me show you how much I
Yeah,
like you. Let me give you a reason to stay. Do you have women
yeah.
like that in
Yeah, definitely.
Valencia?
Yeah, definitely. In Valencia, like I said, the more out of the metropolitan areas, the more likely it is you'll find a woman like that. Something else I wanted to mention too that I forgot. For people who are like, I don't know, some people are into like different hair colors or whatever. You get a wide variety of that in Spain. Like you can get short with a little booty who's blonde, or you can get tall who's brunette and thin. You can get, it's very diverse when it comes to that. But anyway, back to your question. You'll have a woman who, if shit hits the fan, is she just gonna bounce, or is she gonna like, be understanding and trying to help you out as much as you can, as much as she can. You definitely will have some woman like that. You have the other share of women who are just gonna be just I'll be nice. You'll have your other share of women who will not give a damn and just bounce. But you will have women who are also there who are like a lot more like for you rather than just for their idea of you, if you will.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Like, because I dated a woman straight from Spain in Canada, and body
Yeah,
was tight. She was fine as hell. Her sister was fine as hell. They lived downtown Calgary, and extremely feminine. And
yeah,
man, I mean, she all she wanted to see was a smile on my face. She wanted me to be happy, and I was definitely happy with her. But the thing is, I messed that up. My dumb ass, I messed that up. You know what I'm saying? I'm mad that I messed that
It
up.
happens.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. But
Yeah.
I understand what you're talking about. Now, you had your relationship with your lady out in Spain. It was
Yep.
it was unique. You had a unique relationship with your lady. Tell us about your relationship with your girlfriend, your experience.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll just use her first name. It's a very common name. It's Maria. But yeah, I met her at a club, and one of her friends, she was too shy to talk to me. So one of her friends decided to walk over and tell me that, oh, my friend is interested in you, whatever, right? So I got her number and literally dipped out of the club because I was already tired and drunk. So when that happened, we met, we spoke for a while, and then I came back to America and we stayed in contact. But and we were still talking like almost every day. So, and I was just like, man, like, I was just thinking, how am I going to get this girl over here, or how am I going to get over there? And that's when I went back to Spain for the year and a half. Now, when I was living in that apartment with the 5 bedrooms, that was just like very, very annoying. Her uncle owned a place that no one has rented out for a long time. So, and she was really hesitant about this, but she eventually, got together the strength to ask him, I guess, and he was all for it. So I moved into that apartment, and she moved in with me a few months later. Now, yeah, she was from an area called Torrent, Torrent. That
Oh,
that area
torrent.
is yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I still say like that, but yeah, but yeah, that's about by train it was about a 20-minute ride, maybe 30 at most, with a few stops. But that was the area she lived in, and I would visit her out there, and then she lived with her folks, and it's very common in Spain for people to live with mom and pops for a little bit. A little bit has to do with a little bit of the Catholic upbringing and extended families, the dogma that they have, but also just it's been going on for a while there too, where you'll just have people who are like 30 still living with their parents. Um, you'll even find this in America too with Catholic families. Um, but yeah, so that's how I met her. Her sister was a real princess, and by every stretch of the imagination, like everything was done by her accordance, no matter what. Her dad had like health problems, but he was not. He was a really nice guy. In fact, her dad was so nice that when I moved into that apartment that she set up for her from the uncle, her dad literally installed an AC unit in there. And you can't really just throw in the window AC like you have in America. Like it's a real setup. You got the little gas thing set up. You got to drain the water. It's a bit of work, and he literally knocked down the wall just so he can do it for free. He didn't
Wow.
charge me anything for it. So her family was very, very nice. Her and we lived together. Now I will say this, Spanish woman, jealousy is a real thing. They do
Mm.
they don't play around with that because they already know their competition is fierce. Because these girls out here, they don't play. They look really, really good. They even dress really well. Like it's no joke. So they get jealous really easily. Now, when I moved into that apartment, she got a little bit jealous because this was a 2 bedroom apartment. I actually rented the other one out. So I rented it out to another woman named Kathleen, who was a student at Berkeley. Um, Now, I didn't want anything to do with Kathleen. She was attractive and all, but like, I don't know, not for me. She was just the Asian chick from California, and she was in a relationship with some dude from France anyway. But my girlfriend at the time, Maria, she was a little skeptical of that. And then I actually rented out another room that wasn't even a bedroom, but the person was from my school, so I didn't feel like it was just weird. It was just that she was in the living room, and that was actually not a bedroom. But this girl who I rented it out to, she had more of a Nordic look because she was Swedish. At least I think she was Swedish. She had blonde hair, blue eyes. She was crazy. Like, I mean, she was a polygamist, like into a lot of weird stuff. And so she was in there, and Maria sometimes she would get a little jealous after a while, sometimes, because she was just like, oh, well, you're living with this girl. I don't know what you guys are doing. And that's when she moved in.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
like a woman who's jealous just a little bit, just a little
Honestly,
bit of jealous.
yeah, honestly, it's definitely something that I thought was bad, but when I actually really thought it through, I said, you know what, I kind of like that a little bit. I want you to be a little territorial of me because that shows that you care.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I didn't mind the jealousy, and I told her it wasn't rational. I was like, I'm not gonna shield with this girl, man. But I can understand where she's coming from, especially in Spain, because in Spain, blonde hair and blue eyes, these guys will rush to put a baby in her.
Oh, wow.
Like they have a fetish. Like, in fact, if you go to like any of like the strip clubs, the brothels, or anything like that, not like the majority of women who are dancing around and on the poles or whatever, majority of these women are from Ukraine, Poland, or Russia. These are all genetics of blonde hair and blue eyes.
Oh, okay.
And those girls looked exactly like that. They didn't look good, to be honest with you, but since Spaniards, they have a little bit of a fetish for this blonde hair thing. They would, it didn't matter to them if they didn't look that good. They were just like, well, she has blonde hair. I don't know how someone could be that like stupid about it, but that's just how they think over there.
Okay, man, interesting. Man,
Yeah,
I like the like I said, I like women who are a little bit jealous. I like a woman who's competitive, who
yeah,
competes. Like, nah, I need to out, you know, work out harder than these other women. I need to be more feminine than these other women. I need to cook better than these other women. You
yeah,
know, I I like that.
yeah,
Because you don't really see that too much. A lot of women today is just they look at the amount of options they think they have on social media and they think, okay, those options are always going to fall through, and they don't. After
yeah,
a while, a lot of women they price themselves out the game, and it's over.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
for a
very true.
woman to be in her 30s or 40s and on the dating scene trying to get a man, and that's the worst position to be in for a woman in her 30s and 40s, because by the time you get with a man, who's relatively, about the same age as her or older,
Mhm.
I mean, there's no romance in that. There's really no romance in that. He's angry, it's like he's like, damn, this is the best I could get. So I
Yeah,
tell women, don't wait too late. Do not wait
yeah.
too late. So, um, are they like, I guess a lot of South American women, they have the reputation of being the spicy Latino women. Or, do they have the reputation of being spicy Latino women? The spicy women in Spain.
Yeah, the more like rebellious types have a little bit of that. I'd say that. Like, if like for like even like the music they listen to, for example, like they listen to like a lot of Spanish rock, for example. And Spanish rock, it has a kind of like feel to it that is a little bit rebellious. So they have a little bit of that, but they don't go overboard with it like Latinas who, they really how that goes. But with the Spanish woman, not too much. They have a little bit of the I'm bad kind of attitude, but they know when to tone it down. They know when they're going over the top. Um, Strangely enough, in the past there was, and this was, I guess, before Franco, there was a lot more art and media that was promoted that was a lot more sexual. So in Spain, sex is something that they like, not all of them, not everyone, of course, I'm generalizing, but a lot of Spaniards, they think of sex as kind of just like shaking hands. They don't really
Hmm.
they don't have, almost like Japan a little bit. Like Japan has like a massive porn culture, for example. Like, it's ridiculous. But in Spain, a lot of the media in the past, had a lot of that. That's fading away a little bit, and that also faded away with the whole like fascist stuff that happened with Franco. Um, but there's a little bit of that involved still, because they consume a fair, I won't say a lot, but a fair amount of American media. So that influence from American media, your your little Nas X's and stuff, that stuff
Hmm.
gets over. into Spain a little bit. Now, even in Spain, they don't have a problem with a whole bunch of that stuff, but when it gets to be excessive, they do have a ground where it's like, okay, this is just kind of crazy. So they have a little bit of that spiciness to them, but I'd say it's not something to get concerned about unless it's like someone like if the guy is kind of just like really not about that, then maybe that might be a problem. But I find most men are like a little bit of the spice. I did, I won't lie about it.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit. Hey,
Yeah.
salute to Suave J in the house. Man, we got 16 people tuning in right now. Everybody hit that like button, hit that like button and hit up the PayPal, hit up the Patreon page because we got this merch coming through. I need your support. If you want this merch, man, I need your support. So salute to everybody that's tuning in right now. 17 people tuning in right now. Salute. So,
Salute.
man, now let's talk about the women that dated black men in Spain. What kind of black men were they choosing out there? Like, were they choosing just your average, typical brothers, everyday, day to day, educated brothers, or are they going more for like the Michael B. Jordan type? No, they want their black men to be tall, in shape, washboard abs. What do they go for out there in black men in Spain?
Um, well, if like they go for high value, they typically, I guess you could say, date up, if you will. They go for men who are, they have something going for them. When it comes to the looks, yeah, they care about that to an extent, but there's plenty of girls out there who will date a guy who's fat. But this guy who's fat, has the equivalent of a six-figure income and his own business, and he doesn't have to even work that hard. They definitely will pick, like, if someone goes over there and trying to act like a thug, the girls are going to run from that. They don't want anything to do with that. But if you're over there and you have like a decent head on your shoulders, you present yourself nicely, you dress well, you speak to people well, you're easy to get along with. People like the girls will like that. Um, if you're a little bit of a soy boy, that kind of thing, there's girls who will go for you, but those relationships are doomed from the start anyway. So yeah, I would say around that. Um, Now, as far as as far as physique, to narrow in on that a little bit, um, from my experience and from what I can see, they don't care too much. They definitely would prefer a guy who's not like a blimp, but they don't they're not gonna only select the people who are built like basketball players all the time. They're not necessarily gonna go for that all the time. They do care about looks, but not super much. Like, it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah, yeah. So you hear that, brothers? Man, you guys got to have your shit together when you go out there. You can't be
Yeah,
nickel and diamond thinking you're just gonna pull some dimes or pull women out there. That might only last for a night or a weekend. But you guys got to have your shit out there. Like you said, they date up, and that's what a lot of you brothers need to do. You brothers that do have your shit together, or and shit together doesn't necessarily mean that you got to make six figures because out here in
yeah,
Asia, I mean, for like 50,000 a year, that's like the equivalent to a six-figure income in America, because their
yeah,
salaries
yeah,
are really low out here. So, you know, y- date up. So, for us, dating up is dating women who are in shape, young, you know, under the age of 25, or if you have to stretch it under the age of 27, um, in shape, feminine. A lot of brothers out here dating women with kids. You know
oh
what I'm saying?
god.
These big, Goodyear tire built women, just with kids, and it's like you going through all this shit when you can be going through the same shit by a woman that's a dime that has no kids, that's in shape. I think it's better to go through that if you're gonna go through shit with women, go through it with a dime at least. you know, you know. So
Yeah,
when it comes to when it comes to, because I know you traveled to different countries when you were there in Europe, right?
Yeah.
So, like, when you visited other countries, did you feel like, man, the women, they're cool in different places, or these other places that I'm visiting, they're cool, but nah, I got to get back to Spain. Did you ever feel like that?
Well, for me, when I actually lived in Spain, I didn't do too much traveling. I did more of my traveling before I went to Spain, so it's a little bit different for me. But Spain eventually did feel like home a little bit, especially after 2 years. That it started to feel a little bit more like home. So I had a little bit of that. But as far as the woman, um, I mean, I've been to Czech, France, Poland, Hungary, Austria, England, Germany, and Spain. And I did feel a little bit more like I prefer to kind of like I prefer a little bit of the culture of Spain for whatever reason. Because in my experience, Poland had the best looking woman, like by far. These girls were like all really, really, cute, gorgeous, like
Wow.
I kid you not, and they are definitely looking for black people. They are definitely
Whew.
looking for black men. It is like they looking for black men more than any country I've been to.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, it's pretty big, and it's like the girls look really good. But
Well, damn.
yeah, yeah. Look, the Polish chicks. I mean, I dated a girl who was Polish. She was 6'1", straight up like a model. Um, I kick myself in the ass every time I think of her because I'm like, damn, that's the one that should have never gotten away. But it is. um, but yeah, like Poland had probably the best looking woman I've ever seen that I've been to in terms of countries. But I did miss though the hospitality of Spain. Like Poland is, people are friendly, but it's not as warm as Spain, like in climate and in culture. Um, so that's something I really that would be something I kind of felt a little bit.
But the way you explain Spain is like I probably choose that over Poland, over dimes anyway. The
Yeah.
warmth of the community. I choose that over dimes in Poland or
Yep.
any other country any day. Because it's the treatment that a lot of brothers are looking for. Like Kevin Samuel said, man, I'd rather go down in looks and go up in cooperation. And
Yeah.
if like you said, like your girls father, even though he was sick and probably at times bedridden, he still came through to knock down a wall to install an AC unit in an
Yeah.
apartment for you. And you don't really get that level of hospitality. You don't really see that these days anywhere. I mean, you're
Yeah.
definitely not gonna get that that level of treatment in Asia. They'd be like, if they do install something for you, it's filled with asbestos. And it's like, here you go, hoping that you get sick. So,
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I'm just kidding, everybody. I'm just kidding.
Canceled.
Right? But
Yeah,
yeah, but like I said, you don't really get that level of help out here. But go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, to be honest with you, that is something that kind of kept me more locked into Spain than Poland. I could have went to school in Poland, but in Spain, like the hospitality and also just like, there's a thing in Europe with blondes. Like that's just how it is. And Polish women, a good amount of them are blonde. And with that, blondes, they could be cool and everything, but people don't think about what that comes with. And now you're dealing with a woman who they know that they are sexually favored amongst all the world. So that gets to their head in Polish chicks. So they have this thing where I'm better than everyone else because all these guys are into me just because I have blonde hair. Spanish woman, blondes are not as common. You got a few of them, but they're not as common. So you're not going to have to deal with this attitude that's, I'm better than everyone else kind of attitude. I don't need you kind of attitude. You get less of that in Spain than you do in Poland, for example. So it's when it comes to the cooperation, it works better in Spain.
Mm, mm. Yeah, and when you are going after or dating somebody that the majority of men want, you're talking about men from the street. You know, there's wolves out there, and the wolves, they feel like, you know, "Ha- why is she with him? He doesn't deserve her, you know, and I'm gonna prove that. So, like I
Yeah.
said, all you guys out there, when you go to some of these places, you're gonna have to, you know, learn a form of martial arts, learn how to protect yourself, because there are wolves out there that will step in and try to prove, like, no, I'm gonna prove that, you know, you don't deserve him and your man is weak. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of guys will do that. So you guys gotta learn how to learn how to train in a form of martial arts. Like, I've been in martial arts since I was like 6 or 7 years old. You know, so
Mm,
guys got to know how to defend yourself, because it's
yeah.
gonna come a day where, you know, you guys claim you want these eights, nines, and dimes. Well, there's gonna come a time when you gotta put the dick beaters up, you know, because somebody wants your girl. They want you for your girl.
Yeah.
Pause. Pause.
Yeah,
So
and you know, in Eastern Europe, it's like a total different dynamic when it comes to like when you're black. When you're black and you're in Eastern Europe, and if you got a girl who looks like shit, none of the Slavics are gonna care. None of the Slavs are gonna care. But if you got a girl who looks really good, you better make sure you have a good income. You better make sure that you look like a person who a man who they deem, you know, respectable. You know, in Spain, they don't care. You could be, you know, you could be some ashy, you could be some
Kodak
ashy,
Black.
yeah, you could look like shit and they won't care. But if you look like shit and you got a good looking girl in Poland or Ukraine or Romania, or well, maybe not Romania, but any of these like more Slavic countries, like they might literally just like try and fight you. I'm not even gonna lie. Like they seriously don't like that shit because they know you're just taking advantage of the fact that a lot of Slavic women are into black men, and they know you're taking advantage of that rather than you actually be a person who could actually, like, you know, be a benefit to society, so to speak.
Yeah, man. You know, a lot of these countries, you know, I would say if you know, patriarchy and if patriarchy wasn't really a thing globally, then you know, I would say, I won't even say the majority, maybe half or 40% of a lot of these non-black women in these communities would probably go over to black men. You know, if
Yeah.
patriarchy wasn't in place and a lot of these unwritten rules weren't in place, you
Yeah.
know. So let's talk about the feminism in uh well, you know what? But before I get into that, I forgot to ask this. You know, all right, so you find a woman, you know, the women are in shape, a lot of them are smoking. You find a woman that's in shape. The hospitality amongst that family is really good. Uh, you know, she's feminine, she's in shape, soft spoken, nurturing, beautiful. What are some activities that you can get into when you're out there in Valencia with your lady? You know,
Mhm.
what are some of the activities that women tend to enjoy in Spain besides going to the club? Because a lot of brothers, they get so caught up in just laying up in their rooms all day, waiting for the
Yeah.
sun to go down so that they can hit up the club. You know, and there's nothing wrong with the club, but, you know, give us some insight on places to take your lady in Spain, you know, besides the club that they enjoy.
Yeah, the two biggest ones I'd probably say is dining and nature. Like I went hiking with my girl quite a lot. In Barcelona, everyone bikes. Like, it's very, very like, you know, Spain has beautiful nature. You know, it's like a mix of like deserty kind of thing, but it does look good. And so, you know, I would say like, you know, activities like biking through like, you know, biking through like a part of like a mountain cliff somewhere or something like that, or which I did. Dining, yeah, dining is nice because dining there is not like in America where it's like you kind of just go in this restaurant and it's just you and the party you're with. It's dining there is kind of like a bigger group activity thing usually. So you know, it's like, you know, there'll be a whole bunch of, you know, people usually will go out with like 10 plus people, you know, have a reservation for a restaurant, and you know, it's just more lively. People drink a lot. That's everyone there drinks, but it's a lot more lively, and you can really develop a good relationship or not develop a good relationship, but like establish like a good connection with a girl in that environment, because it's like people really like it. But yeah, the nature stuff, like, that stuff is, yeah, that stuff people like a lot. Like they're like nature freaks a little bit in Spain, a little bit.
Mm.
They really like that stuff.
That's something that I'm getting more into.
Yeah.
Just being out in nature, camping, fishing.
Yeah.
Uh, Man, a lot of people seem to like Dan. There's 21 people tuning in right now. If you haven't done so already and you're watching right now, please hit the like button. Check out the PayPal information, subscribe, and check out the Patreon. There's merch on the way. And guys, I really need your support out there. So if you want some merch, sweaters, t-shirts, hats, coffee mugs, stickers, keychains, man, please hit that. Please donate through PayPal and Patreon. Your support is much appreciated. So, man, bike riding. I think that's something we all could do in the chat room, right? Bike riding is not that bad. It's healthy, it's
Yeah.
fun, and you could definitely view the landscape of the city, just soak in the
Yeah.
ambiance when you're traveling around, right?
Yeah, yeah, and Spain has it has quite a lot of nature. Like they have the mountains, they have, I can go on for a while about that, but yeah, there's a lot of nice nature. The beaches, oh man, the Valencia beach is one of the nicest beaches you'll ever come across. Water is
I see that.
blue. You might have to watch out for the jellyfish a little bit every now and then, but it's a really nice it's a really nice beach.
Man, so is it the entire coast or like what's the most popular beach to go to in Valencia?
I actually don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I went to this one that was like really close to the school I went to, because it was it was just the nearest one. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Actually, that's a good question.
I guess all of them, right?
Yeah, probably.
I forgot to mention this earlier. I mean, did you ever witness or I'm sure you didn't participate in this, but did you ever witness like the running of the bulls while you were there in Valencia?
Oh, yeah, you're right to assume that I didn't participate in that.
That is the craziest shit ever.
Yeah, it's literally madness. I have no. It's like, and what's funny too. A lot of the Spaniards, they get a little embarrassed about it sometimes. It's not all of them, but some of them get a little embarrassed about it because they know most of the world thinks this is just like stupid. Like people just get like annihilated by these bulls, and they're just like they love it. I'm like, okay, like
It's the
my
funniest shit ever.
yeah,
Like,
my roommate, he went to a bullfighting thing or something like that. It was at the Coliseum, and he went there and he thought it was going to just be kind of like a silly, fun little thing, like just try and dodge the bull. But he was like, no, people are getting stepped on, people are getting thrown over the whole entire like the whole barrier and whatnot. And he said behind him there was this little kid who was just yelling, muerte, which means die, just like die in Spanish or whatever. And he was just like, I'm never doing this again. This is just barbaric.
wow, wow. Some of the craziest footage that you see on YouTube is like when like the bull, it's just running, just plowing people down, and they end up like catching one up against the wall and hooking him up and throwing him in the air. I'm like, like you fool, you fool. Like, why would you participate in this? Like, and these aren't some of these guys, they're not young. These are guys
Yeah.
in their 50s and 60s running. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't get it. I just never understood it. That is like, yeah, that has been going on in Spain for a very long time, and some people have been pushing to get rid of it, but they're not. You know what's funny about it though? The people who are pushing to get rid of it are usually like more of the feminist types who, they were basically just doing it because of the bulls, not the people. Because after the bullfighting is done,
So,
they basically castrate the bull, and that's basically it. And then they start killing it. So they didn't like that because they were like, well, you're not, this is evil and wrong because animals or whatever. But I'm like, you guys aren't worried about the people who are getting thrown off, like people who are getting like, having this 600-pound bull ram them into a brick wall. That doesn't concern you. It's the bull that. It's like, what?
It's a fake outrage. Like these are
Yeah,
the
it is.
the feminist type or whoever who's speaking out against the quote unquote harming of animals, harming of the bulls, are the same ones that eat a cheeseburger, at a restaurant.
Yup.
Like you just ate a cow, but you don't want them to kill the bull and eat the bull after. Like, but you eat a burger, you eat a hot dog, you'll eat a steak. Like,
It makes no sense. It
yeah.
makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, I wanna watch one in person one day, but I mean, definitely here's a picture of, this Negro right here running up the street. Hold on. I wanna put this on the screen. There's a black dude. Got a brother out here. He's hold on. Let me wait a minute. I'm gonna put this on the screen. The only Negro ever in the history of Valencia, they made sure to get a to get a photo of him. Brother right here, the brother right here on the screen. Come on now, like that's why they made sure. And he don't even have one bull behind him. He got like 10 bulls behind him, looking real thirsty, ready for that dark meat. Pause. Nobody, you see, they're not going left and right. All these white people on the side over here, the bulls don't care. They want to get this fool right here. They made sure to get a picture of him because I'm pretty sure this picture was on his obituary. Like,
how did he die? He got ran over by a bull in Spain.
No, bulls.
Oh yeah, bulls.
Plural.
Yeah.
He got stomped. They river danced on his ass in Spain. Man, why, brothers? Please don't participate in this. Salute to
Yeah.
Maurice Branch. Yes, rent free gang, rent free. Yes, man,
Yeah.
brothers, please don't do that. I don't want to see y'all. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see that ever again in life. All right, but man, now let's get into it. The feminism. Talk about the feminism in Spain.
Oh yeah, that's the one big downside to Spain is the feminism. I mean, most European countries, especially the Western ones and a little bit of the Central ones have they've caught on to the feminist stuff. I see that reversing a little bit because it's really not doing anyone any good. But yeah, that was a little bit of a problem. It's not as extreme as it is in the States, but you will find every now and then, the telltale symptoms of a feminist, right? The tattoos, the piercing of the nose, not all the time, not all, I'm generalizing, but the blue hair, they cut their hair like, just to express themselves or whatever. Yeah, that stuff has been in Spain since probably the 70s or the 80s. And it's really it's a disaster. Like it's like I don't know how people are really equating men to being the same as women, but that's just how they are. That's also in part, along with feminism comes with a lot of open sexuality. So, like I mentioned before, a lot of women in Spain, they treat sex like just drinking a glass of water. It's like whatever, just make sure you don't have AIDS.
Oh man, I like that.
So
It sounds like Canada. It sounds like Canada. You
oh
notice how
really?
I never asked about the body counts because that's something I'm not concerned with. A lot of guys who are
Mm,
insecure about that, they'll ask that question. And really you're only asking that question because you probably haven't been with too many women yourself. And
yeah.
guys, like if you want, you're essentially getting with women that a lot of other men want. Like, do you think a woman who's a 7, 8, or 9 is just sitting at home waiting on you for her entire life, twiddling her finger, reading the Bible? No, like these women, they're active, they're
Yeah,
sexually active, like,
yeah,
and so eh, you know, I
yeah.
I never ask about body count. I don't care about it. So, it's like,
Mm.
especially the blonde hair, blue eye ones, like these
Oh,
guys are trying to get these women pregnant, you know.
yeah.
So if you get you a
Yeah,
woman who blonde hair and blue eyes, you know, just know that all her sexual partners, they didn't all nutted up in her trying to get her pregnant.
Yep.
You know, if she's on some form of birth control, then that's how she doesn't have any kids. But
Yeah.
hey, go ahead.
Yeah. There's like if a guy, I'll say this, like if a guy wants to go to if the guy is looking for just to just have a bunch of fun and just fuck a bunch of girls, Valencia and Barcelona are a little bit of a better bet. But if you're trying to not, if you're not trying to do all that, and you actually just want like a regular relationship, you can still find those types of girls in those cities. But it's just know what it comes with 9 times out of 10, and 9 times out of 10 it comes with feminism, to varying degrees. Some are crazy about it. Some are not even feminist, but they're sympathetic to it because I guess because they feel that they're a woman and they're supposed to. But
Right.
that's like the ones who are sympathetic to it, you can snap them out of that crap. The ones who are who have tattoos up their sleeve, and they call everyone dude or something, or the transgender stuff. Like if that type of stuff, I just avoid like the plague. But if a guy's looking to just screw a bunch of Spanish chicks, that's going to be your environment. It's going to be the feminists. They're the easiest to sleep with.
Yeah, shit, man, I'm not mad at that. Salute to Almighty Ryu. How much I missed? Yeah, you missed a lot. You missed a lot. Just listen to the playback. Salute
What's
to
that?
Larry J. Fly. Salute. He said Spike Lee had ran with the Bulls back in the 90s. Man, that's why he looked the way he looks right now. He looked like a cricket right now. That's what's gonna happen. You get hit, you get hooked by a bull, and you look like a cricket. So,
Cricket.
yeah, he said, yeah, them Spain chicks be fucking like it's a sport. Absolutely.
Yup.
A lot of dudes' wife up women with body counts in the hundreds. Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, that's how it was in Canada. I
Yep.
mean, so you get your body count in the in the hundreds. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to worry about that. Uh, that type of feminism is a picnic compared to what we're not even gonna mention them after what they did to me last week.
Well,
Oh
yeah.
no, after what he said, black men. I thought it was
Uh,
a W. I thought he said BW at first, but if it is, yeah, we're not even gonna mention women because they trolled the hell out of my page last week. But hey,
oh
I'm
damn.
still standing strong. It didn't phase me. We didn't stop streaming after that. Like that was fake outrage last week. I mean, they were mad for like what, a day or two, not even 24 hours. So
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
so
that. Okay.
yeah. Almighty Reed, if you want a woman with a low body count, go to MIT, research string theory and theoretical physics, build a time machine and jump back to the year 1457. I mean, I don't know. I don't
I,
know. Like,
I
hey,
mean,
man.
I used to live near MIT. I
you know, I,
mean,
I, I I don't know. Like, look, guys, like, don't. I think it's something to not have on your mind. That's why we give you different places. Spain looks like a place where you can get your confidence up.
yeah.
And that's what a lot of brothers want to do. How do I get my confidence up? And you got to find out, what are you insecure? Like, what are your insecurities? If your insecurities is a woman with a high body count, well, you need to up your body count so that's a thing in the past. If it's your finances, then you need to figure out a way to get more money.
Yeah.
You need to figure out a way to get over your insecurities. And um like, if I come across a woman who's been with 30 or 40 guys, I'm not intimidated by that, because I mean, I've been with a number of women, so I'm not intimidated by that. You know, I've had women ask me about my body count. They didn't want to have nothing to do with me. So,
Yeah. It is
not
what
not
it is.
not that was like a handful of women. The average woman, they don't care. They want a guy with a high body count because they want a guy that knows what they're doing. You
Yeah.
know, so if you an inexperienced man in the bed, she's like, yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Or I mean, if the guy has a low body count, you could always just go for another girl with a low body count too. There's ways to deal with it.
right, right.
Yeah.
Now, any more? What else do you have for us about the feminism over there? You got women who are they express themselves. differently.
Yeah.
But it seemed like there are feminine women that are feminists over there. They want to get with men, and then
Yeah.
they bring their feminist ideology in a relationship, which is like
Yeah.
oil and water. Did you experience that a lot in Valencia?
From the girl I was dating, I didn't experience that much from her. A little bit, like she still believed in some of the myths, but she wasn't, she didn't hate men. Like, she loved her dad, even though her dad was, he said some stuff that I thought was kind of like, well, okay, that's a little wild, but like she didn't like hate her dad because that's usually where a lot of feminism comes from. They just hate their dads. Um, but I didn't experience so much of that. Like the feminism comes in waves. You have first, second, third, or up to our fourth at this point. The fourth is I don't think we can go any further than this. but I would say over there you have a little bit of like second wave feminism. A woman who's like, I want to do my own thing a little bit because I still understand that I'm part of something bigger than just whatever I want to do. So it's kind of like that, to think of it like that, I guess. But yeah, I would say it's more of like second wave feminism. The trans stuff is kind of getting on the rise over there a little bit, but that I wouldn't have that's not something to worry about so much because even for most Spanish people, even the ones who are feminists, the tranny stuff is just ridiculous. I don't even know if I can say that word on on the stream, but that stuff is like still kind of like very foreign to them. That's a very uniquely American, and I'd say in the UK that's a little common too. But like in places like Spain, that's not really too big of a thing. Um, but yeah, I would say that.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Man, most of these women that are feminists is like, nah, I want to do what I want to do without being judged. They basically they want to be able to do what they want to do without being judged, and they want to get married at the end of the day and
yeah.
find a beta male. They're like, I want to suck all the dicks in the world that I want to suck. I'm like, okay, well, suck mine then. You know what I'm saying? Suck mine, but I'm not gonna wife you after this. And men mentally we're not gonna change. And there are
Yeah,
some guys that'll bite down, but hey, these guys aren't the type of guys that they respect anyway. So it's like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
you
It's like
double-edged sword for them.
yeah. It's like they want to kind of live like men, but they still don't want to be associated with being a man. It's like you can't have it both ways. Like it's just ridiculous. But a woman care a lot more than men about being socially ostracized. So they want to fit in with this community, but at the same time they don't want a guy who's just going to dog them out. But a lot of times that's the men they attract because that they want to pursue this feminist crap or whatever. So it's like what they make their own bed, they sleep in it. Like it's like if that's what they want to go with, that's fine. But I don't want to hear I don't want to hear them complain about it.
Right. All
You'll
right, Corey
see.
J. Salute to Corey J. Said you don't really see a lot of good looking feminists. Let's be real though. I mean, there's a few of them that look good, but I mean, like, is it worth even dealing with them? No. Like, I mean, a woman who's and you got to have. See, the thing about it is, man, you got to have a real struggle. I respect some women that become a feminist. I'm not gonna say I hate all feminists or I don't hate anybody, but that I
Yeah,
dislike all feminists. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
for women in Asia, if a woman in Asia decides to become a feminist, that's understandable. In certain places, and that's understandable. I get it. I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but I get it. But
Mhm.
in the Western world, it's like, but you're already doing all the shit that you're claiming that well, a man is holding me back, blah blah blah. But I mean, but you're already doing the shit that you want to do, and nobody is holding you back from doing that already. So what's the it's like I'm not the logic behind it is like
Yeah.
it's asinine. Just convoluted talking points that a lot of women make, and it is what it is. God bless them. It's whatever they want to do. I hope everybody finds whatever it is that they're looking for. There's somebody for everybody. So no matter
Yeah.
how wild a woman's mindset is, her thoughts, her actions, there's always a fool out there that's dumb enough to 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 cooperate with that, to get with her, and to bite down on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's why, all the trolls from last week, the women that were mad at me, I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, there's a man, there's somebody for everybody, right? There's a man for you, right? So what you mad at me for? You know, you know what I'm saying? There's somebody for everybody,
Yeah.
man.
Corey says, yeah, you say you just, yeah, there's a few women who are feminists that are good looking, but like, there's also a little bit of like a catch here because even with the feminists too, you have the women who are claiming to be feminists, but when it comes to what they actually do, it's like, and they're not really that feminists. They're not really, they don't really walk the walk. But then you have the ones who do walk the walk, who those I avoid at like the plague. I just can't stand those types of women. But like I have a friend named Saren who was like this a little bit. Like she's ooh, well, whatever. But yeah, she claimed to be a she claimed to be a feminist, but I was just like, no, like you get along really well. Like you want to, stand up for women or whatever. All right, whatever, man. But like, outside of that, she's not berating men every day. Like how like a lot of Western feminists usually are, because like that's always like the biggest thing I noticed. That was the biggest difference between the feminists in the West versus, well, the feminists in America versus the feminists in Spain, is that they didn't go as hard about that feminist stuff in Spain. They did a little bit when it came to like pay and whatnot, but like even that they toned it down a little bit because they know when they're starting to get crazy. But Americans, they have like no filter anymore. Like
Yeah,
it's literally just like just run with it. It's like, God, what is going on? Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, they're becoming violent, rude, disrespectful, and you got a lot of man hating women out there, and they
yeah,
disguise it. They try to mask it by saying, no, there's a lot of women hating men. No, there's a lot of men hating women in
yeah,
America. And brothers, man, we got that passport. We got that passport to our advantage. See, that's why a lot of women, especially from last week, they were upset because they can't do what we do. And they had to learn the hard way. And when the older they get, the more they keep reaching for whatever it is that they want overseas and they're not able to find it. They're just
yeah,
becoming older and older, more used. Um, you know, and as soon as a woman hits 30, like you're starting to price yourself out the game. And as soon as they hit 35, it's like it's a wrap.
yeah,
You know, it
yeah,
is a wrap
yeah.
because
Value goes down.
a 35-year-old man don't want a 35-year-old woman. He wants a 25-year-old woman, and he can get that. Even the average dude can get that.
Yep.
So yeah, that passport is a game changer. So, hey, anybody in the chat room have a question for Dan? If you have a question, if you want to talk to Dan, hit the link right there in the chat room. Call in. I'll bring you in the chat, or write your question in the chat room. Man, like this is a classic stream right here. I'm looking at, Valencia. This is a place, where I can see myself living for quite some time. All my digital nomads out there, man, make your way to Valencia. That is a lovely spot, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely worth it. Yeah, it's definitely worth it. Definitely make sure you're set up a little bit. People are willing to help you, but make sure you can at least, you showing you got some competency, because the more you bring to the table in Spain, the more they bring to your table. It's a two-way street. That's one of the, me was it mi casa su casa, right?
Mi casa, su casa. Yes. There's this what is this? Like when you type in Valencia, you see the same this architecture right here. It looks interesting. Looks like I don't know what this is. It's like a huge, I don't know, lake, or there's a water that surrounds this dome that's there. What is that?
That's where I went to school. Yeah.
That's a school? That's a university?
So like that's like the oh boy, that's called the Palau. That it looks like a I don't know what photo you're looking at, but it looks like kind of like a weird like I won't say Pokeball, but it looks like a
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
yeah, it looks like that. And underneath there's like there's classrooms from my school. There's also a club somewhere in that area too.
Oh,
Club
damn.
Mia. That's a really popular club. That's where I met Maria actually. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and that lake or stream or whatever it is, half of that is owned by the mafia, by the way. but
Oh, okay.
yeah, but that's kind of like the city of the arts. You know, you have like not too far from there, you have an art museum. A little bit down the street, if you go down the street towards, I want to say north, that's when you run into Rusafa. I think it's north. um, yeah, that's where I lived. I lived the apartment I lived in had a balcony that you could literally see that exact same photo which that you're looking at.
Yeah.
So I was right. I was pretty much right there. I was walking distance into that. Yeah.
Wow, and another thing, man, the streets, they look clean in Valencia too.
Yeah.
Or is that just, certain areas?
Oh, of course, it's certain. I mean, most areas is pretty clean. I will say that. Like there's certain areas in Valencia that if you go to, you'll find a lot of Romanians and gypsies and that type of stuff. Those areas, it gets a little, it gets a little nasty, and you know, there's a lot of people who want drugs in that area. But yeah, but outside of that, it is fairly clean. I will say every like probably like once every 2 weeks, you'll just come across like this time where it just smells like sewage for like a whole day. I don't know
Wow.
why that is, but that happens. It's occasional. It wasn't something that turned me off about the city, but it is something that you might notice out of nowhere. It smells like shit outside in like the city area for a little bit, and you're gonna be like, what is it? What is with that? I still to this day have no idea what it is. I have no idea.
Wow, wow. J
Yeah.
Bone said give him a few minutes, he's gonna come on and talk to you, ask some questions, and just, say what's up.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I'm looking at this one picture, there's a Valencia marathon. They actually, like, build, uh, like, a track or whatever through the water, and that's, like, the start and finish line. That looks dope. The
Mm.
Valencia Marathon.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they're into their sports over there. That's probably why they all look so damn good.
Guys, we're gonna have to make our way to Valencia, you know? I the hell with living out here in Asia. We're gonna have to go to Valencia for real. I mean, shit,
Yeah, I
that
definitely want to
level.
visit.
You know what's funny about that show, Money Heist, is that like everybody was just falling in love so fast in that show. Like it was crazy. Like, I mean,
Mm.
yes, it's a show, but man, do women fall in love fast in Spain and Valencia, or do they take their time? Like, how are they?
Um, whew. It's a it's usually one of the extremes. It's usually like the girl is like head over heels really quick, or the girl is going to be like, really really hard to get to a point where it's like a little bit ridiculous. It's kind of a 50-50 a little bit with that in all honesty, because they're very, I don't know, Spanish people are just naturally just very very passionate and romantic, but
Yeah.
at the same time, again, you have, now to bring it back to this, but you do have that feminist influence a little bit that kind of holds them back from that, and they kind of want to just be more independent. So you have like a little bit of a split and all in that, to be honest with you. But the split is obvious. That's the good thing. You don't have to like go through all this. You don't have to put her through every shit test you can come up with to figure that out. It's usually pretty self-explanatory very very quickly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, it sounds like Canada, because a lot of women, they fall in love and they head over heels for you real fast there. It's like,
Mm.
"Hey, here's my keys. I want you to drive." Like, it's just a sexual turn on for women to go to work and brag to her friends or coworkers at work, knowing that there's a guy smashing her and he's driving around her car right now, burning the gas, probably picking up other women in the car, doing God knows what while she's at work. And he's going to pick her up in front of everybody and take her back home. And you know, put her face in the pillow again. That's
wow.
you know, I remember the first girl I ever met in Canada, the first girl I started messing around with when I was in Canada. I was like 20. And she like she she wanted to introduce me to her parents. And I'm like, this is my first visit here. Like, no, I like no, what are you doing? And then her dad just showed up. Her dad was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Hey," I'm like, "What? Oh, I didn't know he was gonna show up." Like, stop lying.
He was lying through his teeth.
Here we go. We got J Bones. J Bones, a legend in the building. Rent free gang. What's happening? My partner them.
You gotta unmute your mic.
That's my partner there. That's my partner there. What's going on, Splash?
What's going on, man? Just we just locked in a classic interview here, talking about the women in Valencia, Spain.
Yeah. I'm checking in with my boys right now. Dan, how you feeling, big bro? How you been?
I've been good. How about you?
Cool. My bad, bro. I'm Splash. I'm coming in clear.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right, cool. I just wanted to make sure. How you brothers been, Ben? Everybody cool?
Everybody's good, man. Hey, do you have a question for Dan that you would like to ask? Because I think in the comment section you mentioned that you've been there before.
Yeah, man. You know me, Splash. I'm traveling, man. So I ain't nowhere I pretty much ain't been before. But I haven't been to Valencia before. Unfortunately, we rolled through when I was in college, but I have been to Madrid and Barcelona. And yeah, them girls. Splash, you been to Spain before?
Nah, I never been to Spain before.
Oh man, you missing out, brother. You're missing out. You're missing out big time, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. I know you in Taiwan right now, but when you get a chance, maybe that few 5 days or 6 days, man, you might want to hop on a plane and head down to Spain. You won't regret it.
I need to I need to check out that buffet.
I'm telling you, man.
The buffet of women out there. That's what I need to do. In calling Spain,
yeah,
we need
man.
to go
It's a wild place. Yeah.
Let's get into Ibiza. Dan, have you ever been to Ibiza? Have you guys ever experienced Ibiza?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm like almost mad you asked me that because I was invited to go, but all right, I'm gonna tell you this little story real quick. It's pretty short. There's a group of friends of mine went to they somehow got some connection where they were able to go to Ibiza. They were and Egypt and Morocco, all for like a really cheap price. My dumbass, I should have just forked up the money, but I didn't. So I've never been to Ibiza, and I'm still mad that I haven't gone because it is party central of like damn near the world. Like it is just wild. But they showed me photos and videos, but I never been, sadly.
Yeah, I didn't even know about Ibiza till I started messing around with that chicken, that Spaniard chick in Canada. She told me about it, and she was showing me videos. I'm like, she was showing me I'm like, why'd you show me this? Like, I'm over here laid up with you. I'd rather be over there laid up with all of those women over there at the same time. So it's like, I don't know why you told me this. No.
Yeah, the Spaniards, they call it Ibiza. I don't know why they call it that, but they call it Ibiza.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they have their own way of pronouncing different things.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, Splash, man. Spain is no joke at all. Like we went there when we was in college, and I met this chick when we was in Madrid, because in Spain, the bougie girls they stay in Madrid. The bougie girls is like Madrid is like all the real that's where all the bougie chicks be at. And let me tell you, we met this girl at a club, man. I was talking to her because I played soccer when I was at I played soccer. I was on scholarship when I was at Notre Dame, so I was playing soccer, and I met a girl. Oh, wow. Yeah, I met a girl. Like we went out there to train a little bit, so I met a girl in Madrid, and we was just chopping it up. And the way that let me tell you something, Splash. Being an American, it's a real flex. It's a real flex. Like the way, like it's a real flex. The chick was just like, oh, hi, you're American. I was like, yeah. She was like, oh my God. Oh my, yo, Splash. Let me tell you, when I had this girl back at the hotel by 6 o'clock, it was like nothing. Like it was just like the way chicks is, being an American is a real flex, Splash. Trust me. Like it was a crazy experience. Like the whole atmosphere. It's hot as hell though. A lot of people got to watch out. Spain be hot. It be getting hot. Like it be getting real testy hot over there too. Like the weather be changing up. You'll get.
I can tell, like, man, you doing the Birdman hand rub when you telling women that you an American. That's what a lot of brothers need to do. You guys need to put your your passport in like a little plastic wrap and wear it around your neck like a chain. You need to have passport chain. That's what we need to do. Just go to Spain with a passport chain. That's what we gotta do. The chain gang. Damn, a red-free gang, chain gang when we go to Spain.
Oh, that's what we need to do. Passport is pretty big. I'd say also too the British passport.
That's the thing. They love accents, because I met, even in Canada, you meet a lot of European women, and just even the Canadian women, when they hear an accent, like that's just a conversation starter right there. Like, oh, wait, where are you from? It's like, okay.
Yep.
So
yeah, and
in
Spain, they learn English from British English, so they're really used to the British accent. But when they come across an American accent, it's like, whoa, what is this? Like, where are you from?
What is this? Yeah.
Right.
And it's even
and some guys like.
It's even.
Oh, go ahead.
My bad. Oh, my bad, Splash. My bad. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying, Dan, it's even better because here's the thing. It's not just the American accent, but it's like when they hear brothers spitting that slang terminology. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's a difference between speaking, the white man's English, and then if you're from New York or you from Texas or you from Cali, and you saying things like you dropping like Bracken was cracking was popping. Like if you saying things like that, they really be on you. Like they really be trying to. I mean, yo, Splash. Let me tell you something. I met this girl when we was in Barcelona, right? We were sitting at the bar, and I was just chopping up game with her. Like we were just talking about school, and I studied political science when I was in college, so I was kind of talking to her about certain things about basically how with the world and economics and everything put together. And at the time when I was a junior in high school, when I was a junior in college, I was interning at the UN. So I was just talking to her, and it was such a big deal. Like she was just listening, and I could tell, like, in Spain when you talking to certain girls, but it's not just Spain. It's like when you travel around a lot. I experienced the same thing when I was in Sweden. Girls will literally stare at your lips. They're not even looking at your face. They'll just be looking directly at your lips, because the way that you slanging, or the way that you just basically putting your words out, it makes them feel so sexually attracted. Like they find you to be so interesting that you be talking like that. So I be trying to tell brothers all the time. I'm like, yo, being an American is a flex. Y'all need to really, really spend time engaging yourself in that sort of way. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I met some guys along the way who on my travels that they put on the accent a little bit too heavy, too hard. Brothers, don't go out there cooning, put on an accent too heavy, and then now you sound like a slave during antebellum slavery. You got all these women out here just talking about, oh yeah, hey, do your little rap talk again. Hey guys, let's do what he talks. Do your little rap talk again. Like I'm not here for everybody's entertainment. So
just be yourself.
Don't put it on too hard.
Yeah, just be yourself.
Yeah, and also too
the
hard.
Yeah, don't be doing that too hard.
Yeah, in the media too, because they watch a lot of American films. So like American, especially like standard American English, it's pretty bland. It doesn't really have that much of a, I don't know what to call it, but you get what I'm saying. But if you have like an authentic American accent, whether it be like from wherever you're from, even if you're from like, I know this dude who had like a little bit of like an old country white accent, but he was scoring with women. He was scoring with women a lot. And that's because like there's a little bit of an authenticity to it, because America's culture is kind of just like really bastardized anyway, and even when it comes down to the language.
Almighty Reset, I've noticed they especially love Southern black accents. Almost wish I grew up in Houston, but I'm a proud Chicagoan. They mess with our accents too, so I'm good. Man, Chicago, I mean, that's the land of pimps out there. So, I mean, there's a lot of most of hip hop slang now comes from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's taking the slang from Chicago. So, no, Chicago, I mean, I think guys from the Chi, they're going to do all right out there in Spain, from what I'm hearing. They like guys with accents.
It threw me off. It threw me off when I moved in from when we first moved here from Africa. My parents got divorced, and I had to move from New York to Chicago. And when I first got there, I mean, I had heard that they had a different way of talking, but they have a whole different slang terminology in Chicago. They rap a whole, you can even hear it in the music now. Listen to people like Durkio and G Herbo. Even back in the day, if you listen to Twista, even if he rapping fast, you can hear it. You can hear that they have a whole Common, the conscious rapper. He's from Chicago. Yeah, you can hear the slang. It's so everybody has a unique thing. That's the thing with black men in America. Everybody has a unique flavor about them. Whether you're from Texas, you're from Cali, you're from New York, you're from Atlanta, you're from Chicago, you're from even in St. Louis. I lived in St. Louis for a little bit, and they got a whole different type of way of expressing themselves. But yeah, it's a real big world out here, fellas. It's a real big world.
Right.
Yeah. So where did you live in Spain? You said Madrid.
Yeah, we was in Madrid for about, I think we was there for about 2 weeks, and then we was in Madrid for about it was in Madrid for about 2 weeks, and then we left to go to Barcelona. What happened is when I was in college, it was a little bit too expensive, but what Notre Dame would cover some of our traveling experiences, but we would have to pay out of pocket to some of the soccer. It's basically, well, they call it football over there, but basically the soccer academies. So it would be cheaper to pay for the soccer academies out of pocket, and then Notre Dame would cover our traveling expenses. So we would train during there in the summertime, and then by the time we get back to college on campus, we'd be fresh and ready to go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when I was there for study, but then over the summer I actually DJ'd, and I traded, and I was also a forex trader, and that was how I pretty much made my income when I was over there. But I do see that there's a lot of brothers over there who are going for sports. I see that in Europe a lot, especially with the basketball.
Basketball, yeah, they paying pretty well. That's one thing I try to tell some of the brothers when I was in college. I'm like, yo, not everybody's gonna make it to the NBA.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, the NBA is only 500 players in the NBA. The chances of you making to the NBA is like 1 in 1 billion or something like that. So, but you can take that. We had a brother on IP's channel actually. I forget what his name is, but he played at Miami. He played at University of Miami. He was a really good, he was a really smart player. He was a really good player, and he went from University of Miami. He played at DePaul University, so he played at 2 top schools.
Oh, wow.
And instead of actually going into the NBA, he went to play in Germany, and he was making $250,000 a year. Now you're not making NBA money, but if you make he made $250,000 because those boys get paid really well overseas. Those boys, they get paid really well overseas. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, the overseas brothers, they get paid more than the G League brothers here. People tend to forget that. Yeah. Wow. You go to a place like Turkey, you go to a place like Germany, you get at least 150, 200, 250, depending on how really good that you are. You getting that a season. So you might not be getting NBA money, which is $1 million, but you still getting $250,000 to play basketball. So you're doing something that you're doing something that you love. And a lot of people forget when you a brother overseas playing basketball, you basically a superstar.
Yeah,
you're their version of Michael Jordan. I've been hearing some of these brothers coming in from they play Division II in college or Division III in college here. They go over to Croatia, and they making 100,000, 150, and they being treated. It was a brother that popped in on IP's channel one time, and I was talking to him behind the scenes. He told me he's never paid for a meal in Croatia. He told me he ain't never paid for not one single time he paid for food in Croatia. So, brothers really got to get their mind outside. We trapped in a box in America way too much. So, You know, I was glad to learn how to travel early. I started traveling when I was like 7 years old, living back home in Ghana. So I learned to travel. It was nothing for my dad to show up and be like, "Yo, you know, put your clothes in a bag. We heading off to Switzerland tomorrow morning." And that was just a normal thing for us. Yeah. I started traveling real early. So, you know, brothers got to travel. We got to get our minds out there and, you know, expand ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of famous brothers out there, but they don't treat everybody. Hold on, they don't treat everybody like they don't treat everybody like Michael Jordan.
It's true.
They don't treat everybody like Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah. I seen this. Yo, man. Yo, when I saw this video Splash, the first thing I was thinking about, I thought about you actually.
You thought about me?
Yeah, I was thinking about you too, Splash. Because I was like, we was talking about it. We was talking about it in our piece on Facebook group.
Did you hear how he said "fuck you"? Hold on, listen to how he said "fuck you."
Oh man!
Oh, like fuck yeah! Like, fuck yeah! You know, it's like. Yeah, that was over in China, so they didn't treat them like Michael Jordan. They treated them like they treated them like Bill Russell. They treated them Bill Russell.
They treated homie like Bill Russell at the Boston Garden Center right there.
Yeah,
that's what they treated him like. That's like back in 1950 when Bill Russell used to be in the paint. They'd be like, "Fuck that, fuck this, nigga."
Yeah, he said, "Man, I didn't sign autographs for nobody. It's like I go in, I leave.
I just, yeah, man. Yeah, we saw that. I saw that video. We was talking about it in our piece Facebook group, and I was telling the brothers, I'm like, yeah, I thought that, you know, because a lot of the brothers, they was real disappointed when they you know, IP's on IP's channel. A lot of times the brothers just be trying to hear good news, but I was trying to explain to them, I'm like, yo. Y'all was disappointed that Splash told the truth. That's the truth. He told you exactly how China is. Sometimes you're not gonna get everything that you're looking for. Sometimes you're gonna go to a place and you know you're gonna be disappointed. You know, brothers did love the interview when you came up, Splash, but I try to explain to him like, yo, this is how China is. A lot of y'all thought that Splash was gonna come around and talk about smashing girls and drinking wonton soup. Nigga, that's not what China's like.
I definitely smashed some holes, but I mean, you will experience stuff like that in the video right there. You know, you definitely will experience stuff like that. It's vicious, and I don't want to have the reputation of lying to nobody. You know, I don't.
You gotta tell the truth.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because like it doesn't help. It's not gonna help the next man if I lie to you, because you're gonna fly all the way to China and be like, hey man, where all these. There go Larry J. Fly, Team Asia. Team Asia. I remember that stream. Man, like it's not gonna help you if you fly all the way to Asia and you're like, hey man, like I'm experiencing, you know, a certain level of racism I never experienced before. And you know, if you want to travel to Asia, do that. You know, see the world. There's nothing wrong with that. But dude, like just know that, you know, the racism in Asia is on a totally different level.
It's not sugar coated. They be brothers be thinking that everything that you do is sugar coated. It's not sugar coated. It's not sugar coated at all. The world is a real vicious place to live. I mean, I've been to some places and I'm like, I'm looking around and I'm like, this ain't it right here. This ain't it at all. Yeah, this ain't it.
Yeah, I mean, the world is definitely a vicious place. You know, listen to this.
Unbelievable. You and your whack ass fucking beats sound like shit.
Look how vicious he is, man. Listen how vicious I was, man. The world is a vicious place. You know, you got to be careful, man. You got to be careful. So,
yo, Splash, that whoever that dude, man, does he live? Where does he live at? He lives around here.
You know what? Like we not even gonna mention him.
Oh, we're not even. Yeah,
let's not mention him on the channel. But you know, I wish him nothing but the best.
Let's not give him no attention.
I wish him nothing but the best and much success and nothing but the best. That needs to be another slogan. So You know, I just be spitting and rapping and rhyming on this channel right here. You know, but man, Dan, do you have anything else for us as we get up out of here?
No, I think we covered quite a lot.
Man, so J Bones, salute. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate the support. You know, J Bones has been, you know, really been holding down the platform, really been holding down the channel, you know, especially with you know, the comments and that comment section. J Bones have really been putting it down there. So I appreciate you, J Bones.
Yeah, no problem at all. Big bro Splash. I mean, I wish well, I was talking to some of the young boys. I was even chopping up at Ronald Taylor the other day. We kind of wish we found your channel a little bit earlier, but hey, we're here now, and that's what matters. You doing real good work, man. You really in these streets heavy. You really in these streets heavy. There's a reason why we vibe with you so well. I've been trying to tell some of the brothers, man. It's like, you know, this is where we need to be at. You know, we fuck with IP heavy, but sometimes, you know, when you delivering a message about a different place, it just sounds a whole lot better when it is coming in from your countryman. You know, it's coming in from somebody that's, you know, right next door to you. So, you know how to spit a little bit. You know how to spit the game a little bit better than the brothers on the other side of the pond. But yeah, we right there with you, Splash. We right there with you. We you know, you the quarterback, and we sit in the stands and we cheering you on. So much love to you, Dan. It was nice meeting you, big bro, and keep safe, bro.
Yeah, you too, man. Nice meeting you.
You too, bro. All
right, J Bones, salute. All right, salute to Keldon Williams. Salute, man. Dan, so everybody, I appreciate you coming in. It's been a classic stream. Spain, you know, I didn't want to just touch on just the women. You know, I wanted to give you guys. Oh, and what's a good neighborhood, or what's a good district for people, for brothers to move to when they get to Valencia? I never mentioned that.
Huh. Yeah, you know, my memory on that is probably not the best, but
Okay.
I would say just like if you hear, and I'm not trying to throw shade on any group of people or whatever, but if you're here, if you are around, like I would say just stick with the locals, because there's a lot of, you got a lot of, like, you know, you got like gypsies in Spain and stuff like that, and they will rip you off. I mean, that's literally where the name even comes from. Like, so you just gotta be careful around that. But other than that, practically any neighborhood will do. Um, I would just avoid that. They have a lot of Romanians that come over there, and they don't really do so hot. And those areas that they live in is usually not ideal. But other than that, pretty much anywhere will pretty much do the trick, you know. And yeah, I would say stay, you know, make sure you have transportation around you if you don't have your own private transportation.
Oh, okay. So yeah, guys, pretty much anywhere in Valencia, you know, check it out. You know, I'm seriously thinking about moving there. Like,
Oh,
no
I
joke.
forgot to mention also, I would not live near the beach.
Okay.
Like in general, I would avoid that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good to know. That's good
Yeah.
to know. It's just too much partying going on, too much noise.
Yeah, that, and also the weather a little bit. It gets coldest around the beach, and it can get really cold sometimes. You know, so the weather, yeah, the people there are usually not really they're not really they're not all put together, if you catch my drift. So I would definitely avoid the beach, and avoid places that are, you know, not inhabited by most locals.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks for that information. Guys, man, make sure you hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, leave a donation. Maurice Branch, he gonna ask, he said nude beach. Are there nude beaches?
Yeah, they got nude beaches in Spain. They have them.
See, a lot of you guys, you think there's just gonna be a bunch of hot young women at these nude beaches. No, there's a lot of old,
Yep.
you know, the laws of gravity have set in place for a lot of these women that go to the nude beaches, and they tend to be much older. So
Yeah.
don't think you're just gonna go like it's girls going wild out on these beaches. No, it's geriatric central, and they naked.
Yeah. New beaches are not as what people think. It is not like you're just walking around and models are just flashing their tits everywhere. Most of these girls, they're not even okay.
Yeah. Bring the nude beach to your hotel room. That's the nude beach. Make sure you choose the right woman that you want to see naked and bring her to your spot. That's the nude beach there. Larry J. Fly asks, are you fluent in Spanish?
I used to be like somewhat fluent, but my Spanish, since I haven't spoken it in probably close to 10 years, my Spanish at this point, I can understand it fairly well, but my speaking ability at this point is like it's really bad at this point.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
think Spanish is an easy language to learn. I mean,
Yeah, it is pretty easy to learn. They have like a lot of weird things with masculine and feminine that we don't have in English. Um, like like an example, if you say if you say something that ends in an O, you're supposed to use like L. So, and if it's something with like an ah, you're supposed to use la. So they have weird shit like that, but overall though, it is a pretty easy language to speak. I mean to speak. In fact, speaking, I don't know, for me speaking, I didn't like it that much because you have to do all this weird crap with your mouth. I just didn't like that. I like speaking to be simple, but it is a fairly easy language compared to like, German, French, Chinese,
yeah.
Swahili.
Yeah, Chinese, Mandarin, it's like you gotta learn the characters and the language, and that's like,
Yeah.
nah, I'm cool. The alphabet in Spain. So I can get down with that.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
right. So guys, we're gonna sign out. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out, and you donate to the PayPal. Make sure you type in the @Splashwave Beats @Splashwave Beats in on PayPal or send a donation through Patreon. Okay, we over and we out. Check out the stream coming up this Saturday, same time Eastern Standard Time, around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whichever one. I have it scheduled, so look at that. Check out some of the lives that are the upcoming lives that are scheduled. Okay, we over and we out. Rent Free Gang. Peace.
Peace.